there, folks, and welcome to episode 9 of Sweet Drumming with me, Seb Sweet. As you can see, we're doing something a bit different today. Rather than sitting behind the kit, we're going to do some tuning of the drums. Thank you, Colin, for making the suggestion. It's a great topic to get into. So, I have prepared 2 of my drums, a 10 by 7.5, no, a 10 by 7 and a 12 by 7.5 tom-tom. So, a bit about the drums. This first one is a stag. Daddy, why'd you have to call it stag? Very niche reference there. As you can tell, very, very questionable quality. Very questionable quality. As we discussed in a previous episode, I don't believe you have to spend thousands and thousands or even hundreds on the best gear. Cheap gear will do, and this is a great example. Yes, it's not a particularly well built piece of kit, but put the right heads on it and tune it up right, and it sounds just fine. As part of the same drum kit, because they were bought as add-ons, this is my Natal Arcadia tom-tom off my jazz kit. Like I say, I bought the stag drums, and I do have an 8-inch as well. I bought them specifically to add on to this kit because the colours were kind of similar and the size is what I wanted. So the difference between that one and this one, as you can quite plainly see, the build quality and overall finish are much, much nicer, much, much more consistent on the edges there as well. So 2 completely different drums, different makes, different qualities, the same heads. Okay? Noted. Speaking of drum heads, what do we got? For resonator head, this is the one on the bottom. This is the bottom head. I've got 2 identical, apart from in size, Remo UT standard drum heads. These are the kind of things that you literally will find, and that's even got stag written on it. These sort of things you will literally find just fitted as standard to most budget drum kits. There's nothing special about them. There's nothing amazing about them. I technically didn't even pay for them. They came with the drums. I don't see the point in spending money on getting some Evans G1s or anything else. These are just exactly the same. They're just as good. They sound just fine. We're not hitting them. They're only there to resonate. As for batter heads, this is where the money comes in. So whether you're a Remo guy or an Aquarian Code Evans, I'm an Evans guy. So I have been using Evans for several years now. I've got a matching EC2's 10 and 12 inch. So that's what we're using for batter heads. Alright, on to the tuning of the drums. Let's start with a 10. Now, I always start by tuning the bottom head first. And tuning a single headed drum is much easier than tuning 2 at once. So what we'll do is we'll get the resonator head on now, and we'll get that in tune, and then we'll do the other side. So, get your head on, like so. Grab your rim, and all we're going to do to start off with is get these finger tight. Okay, we've got those finger tight now. Before I carry on, let me just tell you that tuning drums, especially tom-toms, is a complete minefield. Everyone has their own method, their own way of doing things. Some people use drum dials and other instruments. I like to use my ears and just do it this way. I'm showing you my method. This is what I've come up with over however many years. I used to dread changing my drum heads, especially on the tom-toms, because if I had them sounding good, I knew that if as soon as I took a head off, I was never going to get that sound back again. So I've worked out the way to do it, so in theory I can get that sound back no matter what. So this is why I tune the bottom head first. The reason being is your bottom head is going to resonate with the sound that you want the drum to have. Yeah? So what we're looking for is to try and get this head on its own sounding the way you want the drum to sound. The final result will have this tone. So all I'm doing now is just cinching up those hand tightened lug nuts, and I'm looking to get somewhere in the region, in the realms of the tone that I ultimately want. That's not bad at all, really, is it? That's already sounding quite nice. I'm not even going to go any further with that. Let's flip it. And let's get the batter head straight on, shall we? Same thing again. Head on, rim on, and then just get all the lug nuts finger tight. There we go. So far that's finger tight on there. Get your drum key, and just like with the bottom head, we're just going to cinch it up a little bit all the way around, about the same. We just want it to grab it, and then about half a turn. You're going to see wrinkles appearing in the head and disappearing as you go round. I'm just sort of feeling it out right now. Nothing's concrete. Surprisingly easy to tune this drum, I would say, despite it being the cheap and inconsistent quality. Just get a quick, let's get a drumstick on that, shall we? I'm saying that's done. I'd say that's done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get a close mic on this at the end of the video, and we'll have a listen to both drums mic'd up closely. But I would say for now, I'd say that sounds pretty decent. So we're going to move straight on to the 12-inch. Now, bear in mind, this is quite a shallow 12-inch tom. Quite often, you get an extra inch or two on the bottom of it. So you will find it's a little bit harder to get any real kind of body, any real depth out of a drum as shallow as this. But I shall try my best. The reason it's this size is because it comes from a jazz-style drum kit. So it has an 18-inch kick drum, and it has a little 14-inch floor tom as well, which we'll look at tuning next week. But the 12-inch is a really nice 12 by 7.5 depth, which personally I quite like. I like a shallow tom. So we're going to get the resonator head on there, and as before, I'm just going to get all these finger tight. There we go, all finger tight, and now we can get on with the tuning. One day I'll lose all of these. So, same thing we did with the other tom. I'm just going to go round it clockwise, just cinching it up until it grips. And an extra quarter or half turn after that point. Again, we can see the ripples. I don't know whether you can see them very well in the light here. But we can see the ripples starting to form as we tighten. You can just about kind of hear the tone of the drum rising as we go around it. I'm going to tilt it back again so make it easy for me. So all I'm doing, I'm just going around, making sure all those ripples have disappeared. Now I'm going to actually bring that down a little bit. As I said, it's hard to get with a tom as shallow as this. It's quite hard to get a really deep tone out of them because there's not much space between the two heads. So I wouldn't tune up this bottom head too high because I don't want to lose that body. I'm still not happy with it. I'm still not happy with it. I tuned those up again before and I shouldn't have done. Better. It's amazing what the smallest amount of adjustment will do. So now, let's get straight on to the top head. I'm just checking I put it on the right way around. In fact, actually, you know what? Whilst we're here, I did it on the other tom. I'm just going to go around and double check all of the fixtures and fittings inside. Make sure all these are tight. Because I know for a fact that some of them are not. There we go, that's that done. Always worth taking a moment when you've got your heads off just to make sure, go around, do a little bit of maintenance and make sure nothing's going to fall apart. There's nothing worse than when you're halfway through a gig and you notice something's dropped off inside the drum. Nothing worse. Right. Same as before. We're going to get all these finger tight and then we can start tuning. There we go, all finger tight all the way around. Now the fun begins. Now I know it was nice and easy on the last drum, but I have never known this particular drum to be quite so easy. You can see all the, I'm not sure you can, but all the wrinkles are coming in on this side now. You can hear it, the tension, you can hear the tension as it builds. This may be a first. If this is absolutely, this sounds good now, this could be a first. I've never done, I'll be very honest with you, I've very rarely just done 2 drums in a row without any kind of dicking around. That's too high pitch. It sounds good, but the batter head, I believe, is too high. So we're going to drop that batter head down. That's now going to be too low, I can tell. There's a bit of a whine going on with it, where both heads are kind of working against each other, which is what we don't want that. If I've got some with a stick. Now, do you hear that whine? That is the 2 heads fighting against each other. It sounds like a drum's going to be sick. It sounds like vomit. So we're going to just adjust that again. A good way to check for even tension around the head, if we're not sure, is to place your drum key in the middle, give it very little pressure, and then just tap around the lugs. So that is quite even all the way around. But we've got this horrible, horrible whine going on. So let's have a quick listen to the bottom head, because that might be able to answer the questions we have here. So just mute that bottom, and have a listen. So again, we could try this. That sounds alright. Don't forget, there's always lots and lots of ways you can dampen drums down. We've got moon gels and rings and all sorts of things. I like to use a bit of gaffer tape sometimes and just pop it into a corner. And it can be just all it needs to get rid of all that unwanted ring. I like a bit of ring on the drum, personally. I like a bit of ring on the drum. See, now that's where it's too slack. I'm still not happy. Give me a minute just to play about with this, because this is where the difficulty is. I told you this drum is always harder to tune. There's something about your mid-range tom-tom that for some reason we always struggle with. That is sounding a little bit better now. So let's listen to them, because these two do go together on the kit. Now we're talking. I like this. I'm liking this a lot. I'm going to go with that. Let's put some mics on them and get a nice close-up mic sound, and we'll see what we got. And in 3, 2, 1, and there we have some close mics on the drums. Okay, so these are just some cheap Super Luxes. I use these live. Let's see how they sound. They're not bad at all. I'm quite happy with those. I may spend a bit of time jiggling around with them before I have to gig with them, but I'll be perfectly honest with you, that was a pretty quick changeover and a pretty quick tune. So there you go. It's not foolproof, but it is a method. Get that bottom head tuned up nice first, and the top head should sit on it quite nicely and be easy to tune after that. There you go. Next week we'll do a floor tom, which is a slightly different animal altogether, and we'll also do a snare drum, which is a totally different method of tuning, and there's loads of different ways we'll do it. So there you go. Bit of drum tuning for you. Enjoy this week's playthrough, and I'll see you next week. Nice one, guys.